Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. I'm your host, Rob. Join with me are our hosts, Mike.
Hey.
And Lou.
Hey, brother.
And sister.
I don't. Uninclusive.
It was a quote. It was a quote. I'm quoting something.
Hey, brother. Is that what you're quoting?
No. Hopefully somebody will get it.
All right. If you get what he's saying, leave it down in the comments. But each week we like to start off with an icebreaker. Feel free to also leave that in our comments or any of our socials if you have a question for us. But I know Mike has been itching to ask us this icebreaker. So, Mike, why don't you ask us what you've been dying to throw our way?
Man, I feel like that might be a smidge
itching.
Excessive. What I want to know is one band or artist that you had most recently discovered. So, like, the last time that you found a band and were like, ooh, all right, that nobody had to tell you about, that you just found organically. For me, it is a band called The Young Hearts. They came on after the new Sum 41 album came on, and they're like somewhere between indie rock and pop punk, which never really would have been something I'd have been like, oh yeah, I want some like good semi-folky lyrics that just make me feel like I'm traveling the country, play to like some driving indie music, but that also kind of feels like Travis Scott is on drums, you know? But it works. It's really good. It's got me really pumped up for the spring/summertime. It is one of the, it's going to be a new installation in pop punk summer. And if you like just upbeat, feel good music, it definitely feels like they got something to say. I just haven't internalized all the lyrics yet. I don't know if you guys do that or not, where you're like, it's like I can listen to a song and half the time be like, yeah, there's nothing to these lyrics without really knowing every single word. Or be like, I think there might be like some genuine art being conveyed through the lyricism. And I get the impression that this is one of those times.
You mean Travis Barker on drums?
Yes.
You said Travis Scott. I'm like, I didn't know he played with the drums like that.
As a rapper.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't listened too much, but I know people go wild for him, and there's been some crazy concert cancellation reactions.
Yes. My bad. Travis Barker from Blink-182. Which is a slight exaggeration. Their drummer's nowhere near as crazy as Travis Barker is.
So
but
he's a top 5 in my book.
Oh, yeah, all time. Not even just in the genre. He's next level. But just for the sake of making it really easy to understand, had I said it right.
I guess. Lou, you got one off the top of your head?
Yeah, I got one top of my head. It's quite a popular band, but it's something that I rediscovered that I just absolutely fell in love with. It's called System of the Down.
Wake up!
Ooh.
Their favorite song is Chop. You wanted to. Yeah, so Chop Suey I think is amazing, but that's all I ever known was Chop Suey. Mm-hmm. And then I actually started listening to like their top 5 other songs, and the song called Toxicity I think is such a beautiful song.
Oh, that is such a good song.
And I have been listening to it nonstop. And if I know that I really love a song, when all I want to do is listen to that song until I get sick of it. And I've been listening to it for about a week now, almost religiously, and I haven't gotten sick of it yet.
How do you own disorder? That's the question.
Huh? Yeah, I don't even know what they're saying. I'm not even focusing on lyrics.
It's about like ADHD and how like people are just, basically given pills. At least that's what a lot of people think when we talk about eating seeds. They use referring to pills, like ADHD pills, how they're just like given out, and you're like, oh yeah, just keep on eating them. And it's like, the toxicity of it, how it's like made a culture of just popping pills.
Ah, very cool. I'm be honest with you, there are times, and I guess this is semi-personal, but there are times where I like a song so much that I don't want to know what's it about because I don't want to not be able to listen to it anymore.
That's fair.
I've tried to,
you thoroughly ruined my Corona for me, by the way. Thanks.
It's creepy, bro. It's creepy.
It wasn't when I was listening to it. I knew 2 words.
So I'm happy that it isn't crazy. A Lonely Day is really good too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, super popular band, but I think they're only known for their chop suey.
And Violent Photography. That's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you were a System of a Down fan.
We've talked about this. And,
have we?
Yeah, whatever the last music one was, yeah. I mean, I've only listened to...
It was also an icebreaker.
Yeah, I listened... Okay. It was the songs you knew you shouldn't be listening to. Like, you get in trouble if you got caught. But I've only listened to their Toxicity album and their, I think it's Hypnotize album or something like that. But they're a solid band. They're political, so I guess if you don't want to go into, have your music be political, then that's fine. But I think the lyrics are interesting. Mesmerize. I don't know why I keep on thinking. Oh, Hypnotize was the one after that. Mesmerize is the one I really. For me, I don't know the correct way to say this. So, being from Michigan, I would say Lord Huron, but I think they're UK band, so I think it'd be Lord Huron. I don't know. Maybe that's just my Tolkien coming in, because it's Huron, and I don't know. So, I don't know the correct way they pronounce it, but it's an indie folk band, and it's something I've heard them in the past, they've been added to my radio and all that, but then I've finally gotten into listening to the albums, and I really like their sound. Check them out.
I did forget to mention an album. Somewhere Through the Night is the one that I've been jamming to the most. It's their most recent album, but The Modern State is their second most recent album, and it rocks pretty hard as well. Also, it's just a bonus. Dopamine off the newest Sum 41 album. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. There's some heartbreak in that song, and I love it.
How new is that album? Because I thought they went and they broke up.
Just recently dropped.
Dang. So they got back together. Yeah. It was short-lived.
And it's I will. It's a conversation for another time, but I will argue that their first 4 albums, it's the greatest 4-album run in music.
Beatles would like the word.
I know they would. I understand. That's why I'm not it's a conversation for another time.
Toxicity System of a down acoustic guitar covered by Ernesto Schnapp.
Well, this week's episode is brought to you by our Discord. Feel free to check the show notes, or if you're watching on YouTube, check the description. We'd love to hear from you and hang out with you guys. If we get enough people that at Papaloo in the anime server, maybe he'll actually look and respond to you guys. So just keep on joining and at Papaloo in anime. Mike will love to talk about Minecraft, we have music and sports and everything. We just really want to get to know you guys, so go check it out.
Scared to meet people in real life, so if you can meet me in a digital space, that would be less terrifying for me, please.
Unless you want to watch Scooby-Doo, then he's down. He has an open invite.
I'm down any time of the day or night. You got to pick me up from work if it's between 8:30 and 5, but I'm still down.
Well, Mike, you chose the topic this week. Why don't you hit us with what the topic is?
I did. It is your top 5 favorite comedy movies. Now, I do think, at least for me, I'm doing favorites, not what I think the best are, because I think there's a very real argument to be made that Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of the best comedies of all time, not necessarily the number 1 spot, but it should be on the list. Nowhere to be found on my list. And while I love it, and it's going to get a shout out, honorable mention, it's not one of my favorites. It's not one of the ones that hits home the hardest for me. So just to clarify that. My number 5, the 2004 mega hit, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Great Odin's Raven.
What a good one.
See, this is for 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have massive blurbs. I have 2 full pages of notes on those 4 movies. For Anchorman, I wrote Anchorman 2004. Because if you haven't seen this movie yet, so there's a very small, it's a pie graph, right? There's people who've seen the movie. There's people who will never see the movie. And then there's a tiny little sliver of people who would like the movie but haven't seen it yet. Usually, I think, because they've just aged up into it being acceptable and appropriate. If you're in that case, you don't need to know anything about this movie. Just go watch it. It will change your life. I saw it for the first time my freshman year of college. I was playing.
You were late to the party.
Yeah, you were so late to the party.
I had a shirt that I wore all through high school that said I'm kind of a big deal. And I had no idea that it was a reference. But yeah, I was playing guitar, and I think he was a sophomore, walked by and was like, oh man, he was trying to get into music engineering. He was like, hey, come up to my room and we'll do some recording. And we were it was pretty fun, man. We were jamming, we were making music. He played saxophone. It was a sexy time once he busted that bad boy out.
Ooh, clothes started going everywhere. Steamy. I don't know who chewed on the smoke.
Oh man, it was a glass box of emotion up in there, man.
I'm gonna have to tuck it in.
Once he started playing Careless Whisper, it was over.
It was over. But I think he made an Anchorman reference. I just gave him this blank stare, and he was like, have you never seen Anchorman? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he was like, we're watching it right now. And I was like, I don't want to just stop playing music and watch a movie. He was like, no, we are doing this. And I was just like, okay. And we watched it all the way through, and I don't remember his name, but I appreciate him from the bottom of my heart.
You don't remember the guy's name? That's crazy.
Nah, we really didn't hang out that much after that.
Was it Nate?
Maybe. Could have been.
Because I know there's someone from my high school that went there. No, he was your age, so he would have been the same grade. But I know he played instruments. I don't know if he played saxophone. So that's a shot in the dark.
Yeah. Cool dude, blonde hair, curly.
Nope, not Nate.
Tall, skinny.
Sounds like just your type of man.
Yes. You just don't want to say it. It's a special moment.
We'll say it. My mother-in-law started listening again, so he doesn't want to, get into the weeds.
I'm gonna say a lot of things during this podcast. I figure I may as well make it a little bit before I go totally off the rails. Now, I think that some of the best comedies are comedies that actually have a great story to them, and they don't have to be complex or deep. Well, maybe not deep. They don't have to be complex or like mind-blowing in their narrative, but they drive home a really basic truth of humanity. I think that comedies done well can do that in a way that other movies can't, where it's just like you don't need the message to be profound. Even like it can just be a cliche for a reason, and you drive it home with laughs. And Anchorman doesn't really do that. It's just freaking hilarious all the way through. Yeah, there's the message of like Ron learning to respect women, and that is a good thing. I'm not
okay.
Keep it down.
I'm glad that's a good thing.
That was what I was gonna say.
Just Anchorman and is like the point of this movie was to be a feminist piece is wrong. It was funny, and there was also the element of Ron having to grow, and that made it a better movie. But like, let's be real. That would the core of that movie is not to like empower the equalment of humanity.
Well, you're watching it wrong then.
I must be. You see that Rambo, Rob? Do me on it.
I love Lamp.
Was that Pleasureland? I forget what they called it.
Jesus!
Rick killed a man.
I don't remember what it was.
I'm in a glass of emotion.
Glass box of emotion. I was gonna say that has to be one of my favorite Jack Black cameos.
Oh, it's so good.
He just punts
He
the
just
dog.
punts the dog right off the bridge.
Something I love. It was so brief and just out of nowhere too.
And he acted it out so strongly. Like he really tried to play like a biker.
Dude, I love Jack Black. I don't know if there's any slander here, but I won't stand for it.
No slander. No slander. I just like how passionate.
Well, Lou, what's your number 5?
All right, my number 5 is I think one of the basic ones that I think everybody knows. It's The Princess Bride.
Inconceivable.
Ooh. Inconceivable.
I'm just gonna see how many references I can throw.
Let's hear it. I got 39 references loaded up.
Oh,
so let's see how many you can hit.
I'm gonna get my wife in here. She'll be able to name one. She can go through the whole movie. Is this a kissing movie, Lou?
That's a good one. I like it. So made in 1987, directed by a guy called Rod Rayner.
Oh yeah.
Who is just a pretty decent actor. So like I just didn't even know. We were talking off the pod about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know he directed one of my favorite movies. I think it's absolutely
I couldn't pick the guy out of a lineup, but I definitely know the name.
Yeah, he was even in Misery, which I think hilarious because he talked about that in the pod too.
He was in Misery.
Who was he in Wolf of Wall Street?
He was the dad, the guy that was mad that they spent $10,000 on sides.
Who was he in Misery?
No, I don't.
No idea. Couldn't tell you. I do know Wolf of Wall Street, but he either directed it or he was in it. Yep, he directed.
That guy. Yeah.
And When Harry Meets Sally, because that's a pretty big popular movie too. I don't know
that is an absolute classic.
Mm-hmm. And then
Rob's mother-in-law has a fantastic story about that movie.
Spinal Tap. I know that's a good movie. I haven't seen it. I want to.
The third person in the credited in the cast for Misery, it goes Kathy Bates, James Caan, Misery the Pig, and I'm not seeing Rob anywhere.
Ron.
Not seeing him either.
So what do you like about The Princess Bride? Give me something new, something profound, something that's never been said before.
Something that hasn't been said before. This is why I put it so low, because I know it's so popular and everybody's watched it. The only thing that I can think of is that I learned about The Princess Bride through another movie that is my number 1. So, I mean, maybe to carry it on a little bit, but I mean, it's
intriguing.
Just. I think a lot of movies, especially in the 80s, and I'm not trying to bash 80s, but don't hold up very well.
That's fair.
It kind of just is what it is. It was the time. I was watching this, one of my...
Weekend at Bernie's sucks.
Yeah, it's
Terminator
just things that...
Still fantastic.
Yes. I mean, not all of them are bad. But yes.
I don't have too
that
many
one
80s movies.
There's only a handful that I can think of at the time, but it's just a well written, well acted, well premise about love and fight. I love Andre the Giant. I've did some research on him and I've learned so many like sad things about.
Sad life.
He had a very sad life.
Other things that the movie is about: torture, escape, true love,
fencing. You forgot fencing, torture.
Fencing.
So with
continue.
So with Andre the Giant, since he just looked like he had a fun time in the movie, and so that just brings me a lot of joy. And one of my favorite quotes that a lot of people don't talk about is when the main character, I don't even remember his name,
Wesley,
ended up
Do you even know this guy? Dread Pirate Roberts? Come on, I'll stop.
Okay,
it's all the names.
When he defeated Andre the Giant, he said, "Rest well and dream of large women."
Let's go.
And I think it's just absolutely hilarious. I thought it was funny as a kid. I think it's hilarious as an adult.
He was ahead of his time, man.
He was ahead of his time. Such a good movie. Inconceivable, all that jazz. My name is Ingo Montoya. You've killed my father. Prepare to die.
To the pain.
I practiced that over and over again as a child.
Dude, same.
It gave my family such a good laugh.
My uncle Brett and I used to recreate the entire Fezzik and Wesley fight on the regular. He'd be over for small group, and I'd be like, "All right, we got to do it," and we just do it word for word, and I'd roll under his legs.
Choke him out, yeah. My second favorite Carrie Ewell's movie.
After Saw?
No, Saw makes me question his acting abilities.
Oh, Quest for Camelot.
No.
What a pull.
Nope, you're not gonna get it. It's
Liar.
Nope. He's in Liar. I don't remember that him being in there.
Yeah, he's the mom's new husband boyfriend.
Nope. I'll give you one more guess before I just say it, and I don't think you're gonna get it.
Oh, those are all the Carrie Owens movies I know.
Glory, Civil War movie about the First Black Regiment.
What's his face is on it? The deep voice guy.
Yep, Morgan Freeman's there. Denzel Washington. Why am I drawing a blank? Ferris Bueller's there. Something.
Whoa, his day got weird.
Yeah, it did. Went back in time. Drawing a blank out his name, but yeah. Great movie. What top 5? Would recommend it.
I want the entire list of references that Lou has in the chamber. Just rapid fire.
That's terrible. All right, let's hear it. Life is pain, Highness. Anyone says differently is telling you something. As you wish. Death cannot stop true love. It can only delay it for a while.
That's a lie.
There's a storage of my favorite. There's a storage of perfect breasts in the world. It would be a pity to damage yours.
Shortage, not storage.
That's what I meant. I can't read because
who just has a storage of perfect breasts and how? I have so many questions.
Why lose your venom on me? Rest, my favorite Westwell, and dream of large women. This is true love. You think anybody want a peanut? This is true love. You think this happens every day?
Whoa.
Oh, marriage. All right, that's enough.
I'm on the Brute Squad. You are the Brute Squad.
Yeah.
Surprised you could just have Miracle Max on there.
Yeah, the entirety of Miracle Max. Last point that I want to touch on. Marshall from How I Met Your Mother brings this up. There's a point where someone's like, you know what I just thought of? And Marshall goes, at the end of Princess Bride, when Inigo turns to Fezzik and it's like, Fezzik, you did something right. Fezzik should be like, I did something right? I've been doing things right for everywhere. I've been carrying your wine-sodden ass through this whole movie. What do you mean I did something right? And we just watched this movie for the first time with Joe, and I was like, yeah, he really has been doing things right this whole movie. He doesn't get enough credit.
My number 5, it might be a subcategory of comedy, but it's not initially a comedy movie, but it's the 1999 cult classic, The Boondock Saints.
Sorry, what?
That's something. That's a choice you made.
The Boondock Saints? You ever heard of it, Mike?
Rule of Wrist?
Yep.
Continue.
Well, it's one of those movies that to me is just, it's almost so bad that it's funny. There's so much it comes with, I wanted to, spruce it up a little bit. It has Norman Reedus's first movie appearance, who is Daryl from The Walking Dead. This is his most popular thing. But he just has the worst Irish accent, and it's so bad. William Dafoe definitely carries that movie, and honestly, he's great in like anything he does. And one thing I found out when researching this movie is the person that wrote and directed this movie like just thought of the idea, wrote the script, and mailed it into like a Hollywood producer, and you're like, yeah, sure, just come and make this movie for us. So that's why it's like so weird and like just bad, but it's like hilarious to me. I just think it's a hilarious movie, and I actually watched it in my English 101 class at Schoolcraft and wrote a report on it, which is a wild movie to watch in class, but I was a fan.
Yeah, I never finished it. I think I started it late one night with my uncle, and I just passed out on the couch.
He likes that. He likes the movie.
I believe so, or he did at the time. His tastes have changed since he got saved in some ways.
That's such a good way of saying it. I don't taste the devil anymore.
I mean, yeah, there's some things where he's just like, yeah, I'm just not gonna watch this anymore. But like when he was living at my parents' house, we'd stay up super late on the weekends and watch movies and play video games. It didn't strike me as a comedy.
You gotta watch it. You just gotta power through it, and it's hilarious. If you go in like trying to think of it as something funny, you'll have a great time.
All right, good to know.
Lou, I have the same. Go for it.
I was gonna say, you obviously know something about it. What are your thoughts?
I remember watching it with you, and I remember falling asleep. I remember passing out, and then I do remember that your ringtone. You remember your ringtone back in the day, Robert?
Which I've had a lot of ringtones.
Do you remember the loudest one?
The 21 Pilots?
No, it was One Punch. It was One Punch Man.
Punch! Yeah, worth it. The one good anime out there.
Yeah, my heart dropped to my waking up to that. You should have let me know. Oh my gosh, that was rough.
All right, I guess this pod is not a fan of Irish Bostonians. Boston, I tried. Go after them, not me.
I was just tired, man. We started at like midnight. It's been a long day. It's nothing personal.
I have no excuse.
Well, Mike, what's your number 4?
All right, I'm pulling an audible. I'm moving things around on the fly. My number 4 is Why Him, 2016, featuring Bryan Cranston and Dave Franco.
All right, that was the one I was going to guess was on your list, because I know you own it, so it's usually a pretty good indication.
That's fair. To encapsulate it very shortly, if you like the episode of The Office Dinner Party, you will love this movie. If you find Dinner Party to be unbearably uncomfortable, there is still something to love from Why Him. You just won't love it as much as I do. I wrote a bit of a blurb for all of my other films. So essentially, the movie is Stephanie Fleming invites her parents, Ned and Barb, to come to LA from Michigan to meet her boyfriend and spend Christmas at his house. In a shocking twist to only Ned and Barb, the boyfriend, Laird, is a self-made internet multimillionaire, whereas Ned is the founder of a small Grand Rapids-based paper company. And he is instantly put off by Laird's lifestyle. And the main conflict of the movie is that Laird is vulgar and socially inept. He's got a big heart, and he takes Ned aside and he says, "Hey, dude, I wanna ask your daughter to marry me. I really would love it if I could get your blessing." And Ned is like, "No, absolutely not." And Ned's like, "Okay, well, give me the rest of the week and I'll change your mind." And Ned's like, "I really, really don't think you will." And Laird wins over the whole family. And with each new member that he wins over, it just makes Ned more and more upset. And all he can focus on is how different they are. You know, Laird lives in a paperless household. Ned owns a paper or a publishing company or something to that effect. And by the end of the movie, he's able to realize, like, okay, these things are superficial. We're both kind of caricatures of two different decades. But at their core, both characters are good men, they're hard workers, and they're loyal to their spouse or their significant other. And so it's just a great movie about two people learning to accept the differences as not that big of a difference and embrace the similarities and just come together. And it is just full of wild and insane humor that
hacking scene was something, like rips off
the hacking scene. Yes, that one is so funny. It's also this great moment because so Ned, he calls up his tech guy from the job and he's like, okay, and he's trying to get into Laird's computer, and so he's like, okay, you're gonna have to try all these passwords, but you gotta understand, people of this generation, they're pretty racy. And so he's just saying all these nasty, gross things that Ned has to type about his daughter's body. And then he picks up the keyboard at one point and just finds the only piece of paper in the house has Laird's password on it, and it's Steph's guy, and Ned's password is Barb's man. And it's just this moment of him being like, oh no, like, we're not that different. It's a great movie, and it's full of like heartwarming moments like that followed by Laird and Stephanie coming down into his office, and Bryan Cranston having to hide so he doesn't get caught, and the two of them getting very amorous on the desk while Bryan Cranston hides under the desk. And so it's like, oh, heartwarming. Oh, incredibly uncomfortable humor, which is one of my favorite types. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out and you want to laugh or you need a good Christmas movie, it's not a Christmas movie, but it'll work in a pinch.
Most random Gene Simmons cameo I've ever seen.
100%. You could tell there was somebody really came from Michigan and was all about it when they were writing this movie.
I've never watched it, but it looks cool.
It's a lot of fun. And there's just too many layers to really get into. Like, the whole Ned and Laird conflict is kind of the primary conflict, but it's such a well-done movie where all these characters are interacting and there's all these moving pieces and everybody kind of has a lesson to learn. And it was very, very well done.
Lou, what's your number 4?
My number 4, also a lot of people might know, came out in 1992, Wayne's World.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
All right.
Bohemian Rhapsody, that's how I learned about that. Bohemian Rhapsody. You've never seen, have both you guys?
I don't think I've watched, what's the actor's name? Michael Myers? Something?
Alan?
Whatever. I haven't seen any of his movies. Haven't seen Spaceballs.
Is Michael Myers is Wayne's World?
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Haven't seen Wayne's World.
Oh,
haven't seen.
Why did I think it was Jimmy Fallon?
Austin Powers. I don't know why
Jimmy
you thought that was way before he broke out.
Yeah, no, I'm realizing that as I'm saying it, but interesting. Okay, that makes me want to watch it more.
You've never seen Shrek?
I've
seen Shrek. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. What about Inglourious Bastards? You've seen that?
That's a Tarantino film, my guy. Don't try that.
Oh, I forgot.
Don't
what about
try
Cat in the Hat? What about Cat in the Hat?
I can confidently say I have not seen Cat in the Hat.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
I've heard the song. Is he in the movie? Like the movie Bohemian Rhapsody?
He is in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody.
Again, I wouldn't say that's his movie unless he directed it.
That's fair. No, he didn't direct it. Just wanted to prove you wrong since you give me a lot of crap on the pod. Wayne's World.
Still haven't seen his movie.
Excellent. All right. So yeah, I don't even know how to explain Wayne's World. It's hilarious. I'm just going to share the parts that I love. So pound for pound. So there's this character named Garth. And Garth has a mental illness of some sort. He's a little different. But nobody knew what it was back in the day. And so Garth is just Garth.
I think they just didn't care.
They just didn't care. Fair enough. I respect it. There's a part. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix? I'm assuming that you guys
Foxy.
have. Yes. So
Foxy Lady.
If you're listening to this podcast, you've never seen this movie, please look this up. It's called Garth, Foxy Lady, and I think, pound for pound, this is one of the funniest comedy scenes of all time. It is just so funny. It was funny as a child. It's funny to me as an adult. I used to go around, when I used to cut lawns, I used to go around and I used to do this dance in people's backyards because it was absolutely so funny. It's a really good time. It's just like a big old SNL sketch, but when SNL was kind of funny. And it's about like a band, and this guy falls in love with this lady, and this lady's like super cool, and it's a very basic stuff, but I think the jokes are just absolutely hilarious. Some of my favorite is, did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he put on that dress and played a girl bunny?
No.
Super funny. Garth, marriage is punishment for shoplifting in some countries. Aspincter said what? What? Oh, it's just a really good time. And then the classic when they meet Alex Cooper, they're like, "We're not worthy. We're not worthy."
Oh, that's when they. I know the scene. I've just seen them bowing. I didn't know that's when they met Alex Cooper.
Yeah, super fun, super good. Even the second one is not bad. So
there's a second one?
There's a second one, and it's not as good, but it's not like Disney movie, 90s Disney.
It's not like Anchorman 2.
It's not like, Anchorman 2 is not that bad either. But
I'm going to have to disagree with you.
It's not terrible. Okay, I don't want to be out here being judged because they gave effort.
Did they give effort? There's so much copy and paste.
There are worse movies than Anchorman 2.
There's also a lot better.
I would say it is a touch above the net zero, completely neutral. I'd say it's a smidge over that line.
You know what? And we're here for it.
You're here for it. I'm not watching that movie again.
See, that's not a good movie if you don't want to watch it again.
I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm just saying it's an okay movie. movie that you can watch. It's not unwatchable. Like, I don't know, The Boondock Saints. It's 2 of us watched it and fell asleep.
It's a cult classic for a reason. You guys just aren't part of the cult.
You guys are just not part of the cult. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Shucks.
I think 1/3 of people liking it does fit the cult classic.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is fair.
I've been a part of a lot of cults in my day, both as a leader and a follower. You have more fun as a follower.
Is this
more money as a leader?
This is something. I don't know what it is.
It's Creed from The Office.
Oh, okay.
It took me a second. I'm like, I know it's from The Office, and I had to run through the characters. I'm like, yeah, it's Creed. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure Becca laughed at that joke.
We got Andrew, too.
My number 4 came out in 2006, and it is Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Classic. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly films. I think it has aged the best out of all of them, and so that is one reason why I picked it over like Step Brothers or Holmes and Watson just shouldn't even be mentioned in this podcast, but here we are. It's an over-the-top comedy about stereotypical NASCAR drivers. If you listen to this pod, you've seen me pull references from it the whole time. We talked about being jacked up on Mountain Dew. I think it has some of the best one-liners from Will Ferrell in all of his filmography.
Ooh, that's a big claim.
That is a big claim.
And then,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's a big claim.
The one thing that I remember, once my mom said she was actually planning me and taking me to see the movie when it was in theaters, and I'm glad she didn't, because I'm about 97.4% sure she would have made us leave that movie theater because it's just so raunchy and so bad.
It's not as raunchy as I can't think of the raunchy parts of it. A couple of kissings.
Two male characters kiss. I know that would have been a big no-go.
Ooh, yeah, it wouldn't have gone over well.
No, making love to the rainbow like some people do.
That was straight in that one, you know.
That was straight. It was straight sex on a rainbow. Animated. Straight sex with real life human beings on an animated rainbow. Simulated. Actually, just implied. You never see anything, so.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys' thoughts on Talladega Nights are, but that's kind of mine. All I got.
So I saw it as a kid, and I did not get it. I should probably give it another shot as an adult, but in general, I have found Ferrell and Riley to be an underwhelming combination.
Really?
Yeah, I think Step Brothers is the most overrated movie of all time.
I don't disagree with I don't agree.
It's not even that it's that bad of a movie. I just think the Step Brothers crowd are delusional. They're like, this is the greatest movie ever made. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not even the best Will Ferrell movie ever made. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Better than The Room, too. Doesn't mean anything.
Is it though? No. Lou, you watch Talladega Nights?
I am a Talladega Nights fan. My favorite scene is when, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, is when he gets into that car accident and then they find him at a hospital. Or I think it's a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's in a wheelchair. And they're like, Bobby, you can walk. Yeah. And he's like, no, I can't. I can't walk.
I hope you have
this forever.
I hope you have 2 beautiful, athletic sons. And I hope they have their career taken away and they're stuck in a wheelchair. I hope you know how that feels. Don't you put that evil on me.
Don't you put that evil on me. And then he stabs himself in the leg and he pops right up.
You want to see what my life is like? Don't you do it, Ricky.
That is a great scene.
Yeah. So good. And then I think the shake and bake is super classic. I was saying that as a child. And then as I was doing the research on this, one of the quotes is America is all about speed. Hot, nasty, badass speed. Eleanor Roosevelt in 1936.
I think that's the opening quote. Like it's the opening line in the movie. It's just a written line.
Yeah.
If you ain't first, you're last.
You ain't first.
Ricky, I was high when I said
that. Or the whole as a child, I was so just enthralled with the whole pancake crepe thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, just say it's a thin pancake. I don't know. It's just
say I like really, really thin pancakes. That is a good deal, Ricky. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. Break my arm, Pep in the pew. These colors don't run.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I like it a lot.
Mike, why don't you bring us around to number 3?
My number 3 is easily the least well-known of my top 5. It
Objection.
is 2009's of my top 5?
I was just saying it.
Oh. It is I Love You, Beth Cooper, starring Hayden Panettiere and Paul Rust. So this movie boils down to this. On graduation day, Dennis, played by Paul Rust, ends his valedictorian speech in front of the entire high school by by basically calling out all the major players in the movie. Everyone from the school bully to the popular girl who isn't so nice, and ending with his high school crush, Beth Cooper, played by Hayden Panettiere. Throughout a series of events and shenanigans that are ridiculous and standard fare for 2009, Dennis and his best friend end up in a car with Beth Cooper and her two friends who are not memorable, on the run from her super over-the-top, aggressive, controlling ROTC boyfriend who wants to kill Dennis. During the crazy night that they spend on the run, encountering all these people that he called out, Dennis is forced to realize that the crazy hot girl who seems to have it all going for her isn't everything he built her up to be in his mind. She does not match his expectation of her in the least bit. And so he has to come to terms with who she really is as a person and all of her flaws and all of the hardship that she's grown up in. Well, on the flip side, Beth experiences basically for the first time what it's like to have somebody believe in her and believe that she can be more than she believes she can be. And at the end of the movie, they share a kiss. They don't hook up. There's no big, over the top scene. They just have a simple kiss at sunrise on a lake, and they part in the final shot of the movie, and they just agree like, hey, let's try and see each other again sometime. And it's left ambiguous. Are they dating? Are they just friends? You don't know, and it doesn't matter, because you know that whatever their relationship becomes, it's going to be for the right reasons. And that's just the whole core of the movie is just about looking past the appearance of somebody and the stereotypes and the cliches and understanding who they are and why they are that way. And it's a fun, hilarious, crazy romp through the night. I'd say it's super bad but good. Sorry, Andrew. In that way, that it's following some teenagers on a crazy adventure. It all wraps up in a night. But I thought it actually had something to say, and it made me laugh. Also, Paul Rust, not somebody I would consider super well known. And that's a bummer, because that dude is really good at playing just the awkward, nerdy kid. I would love to see him get some more opportunities than he seems to have had.
Wasn't he in his own comedy?
I don't know. I haven't done a ton of research on him specifically. Let's see.
I can't even, when I Google Paul Rust, I get the former mayor of some place, and then Paul Rudd. It's like, do you mean Paul Rudd? So I don't even know who this guy is. Oh, Rust.
Rust. Like a metal.
Like the map. Okay, yeah.
Rust belt.
I recognize his younger days.
Yeah, and he wrote a TV show called Love.
Oh, yeah. No, Love is where I know him from with Britta from Community.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed the first couple seasons.
I mean, there's only 3 of them, so. But yeah.
Well, 2/3.
I never got around to
enjoyed.
I never got around to the 3rd season because I watched them as they came out and just,
Doing a lot of fractions today.
I mean, not a lot of people. All I'm saying is that not a lot of people get to say that they created a TV show. And
that's true.
It's on. I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not like trying to say you're wrong or anything like that. Like some people.
Oh, I got you, man.
There's the kicker on TV. A lot of people can create a TV show.
Yeah.
Lou, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is a beautiful movie that I hope everybody has watched this based off of the love of a certain actor. Came out in 2001, School of Rock.
I actually have not.
Oh my
You've
Lanta.
never seen School of Rock?
Oh my Lanta. Yikes.
More of a Pick of Destiny guy fan myself.
It's not even on my honorable mentions. I had a different Jack Black movie on my honorable mentions, but it's good.
So good.
That's what I heard.
I'm sorry.
It's one of those things I just never got around to.
Dude, you gotta get around to it. It's on. I mean, the first thing, it's on Play-Doh TV. I don't know if you got that or not. Paramount Plus.
Yep.
Hulu. Give it a watch, man. It's good stuff. So if you don't know A School of Rock, pretty much Jack Black was in a band, gets kicked out the band, trying to find a job. His roommate is a substitute teacher, and he intercepts his substitute teacher's call, and he becomes a substitute teacher of the class. But instead of teaching them something, he just teaches them how to play music. Just like music, pretty much like rock and roll 101. And in the beginning, he's absolutely terrible at it, but at the end, of course, like he falls in love with the kids. They end up winning. Did they end up winning the thing?
I think they lose on a technicality.
Okay.
But they win in spirit because, and like everybody loves them.
There we go. Yep. And so the kids are just so beautiful. And I will say this is the movie. This was my dad's favorite comedy of all time. And so it's very often I catch myself just quoting my favorite. I noticed it wasn't hard to know what my favorite comedies were because it's just things that I think of in my head that are just permanently in there. One of my favorite ones is when the Asian kid says you're fat and you have body odor. You're a fat loser and have body odor. just It's just like silly stuff. And then my favorite one that I say quite often, especially if I hear bass or if I see a bass, cello, you've got a bass. So yeah, it's just really good stuff, man. I give it a Man or Crowds Girls on it. I think it's absolutely hilarious because when I was younger, I didn't know what a groupie was. I had no idea, and I remember asking my dad what a groupie was, and he's like,
Son, sit down. We have to talk.
He's like, I don't know. I don't even remember what he said. But it's just so funny that there was just 3 kids who he was like, you'll be the groupies. It's just like, whoa, dude. Insane. It
was a different time, man.
It was a different time. Beautiful movie. There was a kid who was just quite feminine, I guess. I could say there was a gay kid, right? That's okay.
Oh yeah, it was very strong. I don't know if they ever came right out and said it, but it's very much like, oh,
early
this kid
2000s,
is
probably not.
Probably not.
Oh, no, yeah, but yeah, he was either clearly gay or like, oh well, he's gonna grow up to realize that he's gay.
Realize it, yeah. And it was my first. I think it was one of my first experiences back in 2004. What a gay kid is like, and I just thought he was stylish. I thought this kid was just like cool. Like one of my favorite things is like he goes around and he tells the kids like say something bad about me, and he's like, you're tacky and I hate you. just yeah. And then he ends up being the costume director of the show that they do. I don't know. It's just like a lot of love.
Yeah,
it has a lot of love.
I love how Jack Black learns to identify the skills that each of these kids have and the thing that makes them unique, and then finds a role for that. It's very beautiful the way he does that.
It is very beautiful. He finds out that he wants to do a band when he overhears his class in a band class. They're in like a band class, and this is kid who's like clearly great at guitar, and he's just ripping it on the guitar. And the drummer is like hitting the cymbals, and kids playing the cello, and he's like putting it all together. But instead of just using them, the people who are just really good in the instruments, he uses the whole class. And yeah, so I agree.
Another fun fact about that movie, the roommate whose call he intercepts is Mike White, the guy who actually wrote the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was awesome on Survivor.
I will say, I remember when the movie first came out, that's when I was still in public school, they handed out like School of Rock bookmarkers, so they were peddling it on the kids, you know. Got a picture pulled up, yep, I remember. I think they gave me the Miranda Cosgrove one. Those outfits were so 2000s.
Yeah, they were.
Right.
Kid with the spiked hair. Looks like freaking Reese from Malcolm in the Middle. That style.
Oh my gosh, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, those bookmarkers.
Yeah, with the kids.
Yeah, I think on one side they had like their, like their school one, and then on the other side was their rock thing. I'll put it in the chat.
That's not bad, actually.
Oh my gosh, I had the black girl's bookmark. I knew for sure I did. That's cool. That's awesome. You really brought me back on that one.
That's what I'm here for. My number 3 might be a hot take, but as we found out, I'm the hot taker for this week, and it is the 2018 film Deadpool 2.
Nice.
I didn't know. It is a debated topic which Deadpool was better, and ultimately I think Deadpool 2 is better. I think I've only seen it twice, once in theaters and once outside of it, but I just remember I was dying laughing the whole time. The whole X-Force scene, I was just, oh my gosh, I was tearing up, especially with the Brad Pitt cameo that's there for like a split second. I like they did the fat superhero bit before Fat Thor, and they actually got an overweight actor instead of just CGIing someone. So, shout out to them, the representation. And also, has to be one of the best post-credit scenes ever, where he just goes back and like kills Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. Then he actually kills himself, Ryan Reynolds, when he's about to take the movie for the Green Lantern, and it's, oh my gosh, it is just hilarious. I enjoyed it. I'm worried about Deadpool 3. I'm just going to put that out there. Lou, is this the movie we went and saw on your bachelor party, or was that the first Deadpool?
It was the second one, yeah. So I thought it was cute that it was on the list. You guys took me to go see that movie on my bachelor party.
We went to Basin Burger Bar.
Delicious. I forgot about that.
That guy was probably trying to get my number.
Was he there?
Nice.
Oh, man. I wonder what he's doing.
I don't know. Mike, have you watched any of the Deadpool movies?
Saw the first one. Really enjoyed it. Never watched it again, and did not see the second one.
Oh, the second one also is what turned me on to the Take On Me acoustic cover. It's in that movie.
Oh, nice.
Hey, you talked
Great
about
cover.
that.
Mm-hmm. And it hits at a pretty emotional part. in the movie. Like you wouldn't think Deadpool could get emotional, but I think it got emotional at the end there. All right, Mike, bring us to number 2.
My number 2 is the 2008 masterpiece Sex Drive, starring 3 people you've probably never heard of: Amanda Crew, Clark Duke, and Josh Zuckerman.
Did you say X Drive?
Sex Drive.
Sex Drive.
It's a masterful pun because this movie follows Ian, who, with the encouragement of his friend Lance, decides to steal his brother's 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge and drive across multiple state lines to meet up with this girl he's been IMing for a sexual rendezvous.
Oh my gosh, I actually think I've
seen this. They are literally going on a sex drive.
Yeah, the Amish people? I've seen this.
Uh-huh. And the thing about this movie is that there are no twists. You can see the plot coming a mile away. The girl next door hops in the car and decides to go with him right before they leave. He never ends up sleeping with the girl he's been IMing. He ends up with the girl next door. Everything happens exactly by the numbers, but you do not see the jokes coming, man. They are fast, furious, and unpredictable, and it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I don't like Seth Green. I find him to be just a small, little, annoying man.
Whoa.
My God, is he hilarious in Sex Drive. He plays this Amish guy who's also basically like they have like just this car garage where they just fix cars, but it just in a barn. And he is so funny that I'm just like, you know what, man, I'm never gonna watch you in anything else. You drive me nuts. I can't stand you in every other role you have seen you in. But I'd shake your hand if you walked by just for this movie.
I watched I'm looking at the cover, and it has the guy from season 9 of The Office. Yeah,
Clark Duke is claim to fame, for me at least, was he was Southern Baptist roommate from Greek, which we talked about on like episode 2 or 3, and then he plays Dwight Jr. in The Office.
That whole movie is a fever dream to me. I think it was on I don't remember. There's this one like late 2000s, early teens. There's like this platform where it's free movies, and it's basically like B-list movies. I'm pretty sure I watched it on there. And so all I remember is there's these Amish people, and I think I know the thing at the end. Mm-hmm. I don't remember it, so I kind of, it could have been a twist. Maybe that was just naive me, didn't see it coming at the end with the girl online. But
it was, I think it was meant to be a twist, but at the same time, at 2008, it might have been kind of surprising.
Yeah, it wasn't mind blowing, but it's just like, oh yeah,
things don't go as he was hoping they would. And like in hindsight, you're like, yeah, no shit. This is one of the only movies where I'm like, look, this one in Anchorman, I'm like, look, it doesn't have some deep commentary about humanity. It is just laughs from wall to wall. It is so funny. Yeah, the Amish scene is by far the highlight of the movie, but there's not a bad stop on the road trip. Every single bit is either funny or slows down just at the point that the plot needs to slow down and have some actual character growth, and then it gets right back to just obscene humor.
Lou, what's your number 2?
Yeah, sorry.
He doesn't know where to go from here.
I was like, all I know is the donut. I don't think I've actually seen the movie, I'll be honest with you. You're bringing some things back in the past for sure. You gotta love it. So yeah, my number 2, I've been milling around what my number 1 and what my number 2 is, but I'm gonna just move my number 1 out of my number 2, and my number 2 out of my 1, and then I'm gonna flush. Sorry, terrible joke.
I liked it.
Tropic Thunder, 2008.
What do you mean by you people?
Yeah.
Wild movie.
It is an absolute wild movie. Oh, my friend Jahara, back in like 8th grade or 9th grade, around this time, we used to quote Tropic Thunder jokes to each other all the time. It just, it is an absolute insane movie.
Tom Cruise is so fantastic in that movie.
So there is, if you've never watched it, there is blackface, and you wonder who is blackface in 2008. Good old Iron Man is blackface.
Robert Downey Jr. I didn't know until someone pointed it out. Never.
Didn't know it was probably.
I never saw the Iron Man. I still haven't seen the Iron Mans, but I never saw them when they came out. So the actor was like totally unknown to me. So now it's like when someone said, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right, that was him.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I like about this. There's a couple of points that I want to make. So one, Robert Downey Jr. I've heard him talk about Tropic Thunder. I've heard him talk about doing blackface, and it was only his Irish Catholic mother who was like, I don't think you should do this. But most of his black friends were like, this is absolutely hilarious. And I also agree. It's insane, but it's extremely funny. And I do think that, and if you don't know Robert Downey Jr.'s life, he was an actor way back when, and his dad was a director, but he was an extreme alcoholic or into drugs. He was a drug addict, and he cleaned up. And I don't know which one he shot first, but he did Tropic Thunder in 2008, and he also did Iron Man. That absolutely propelled his career. It's so, listen guys, if you are into drugs, you clean up, you might have the blackface, but afterwards, dude, you're gonna be a superhero.
So you giving us the pass, Lou?
No. I would not get.
As long as it's funny, we can blackface. That's what I just heard.
I plead the fifth. So yes, absolutely hilarious. Another thing that people don't talk about this movie. Should I explain this movie, or can I just like?
Sure. Yeah. It's a Ben Stiller movie. If you guys don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a Ben Stiller movie. Ben Stiller is like oddly funny. He did another one called
Night
what was the Fat Cap? When he was in Fat Cap.
Oh, Heavyweights.
Heavyweights. Was that heavy? Yes, Heavyweights.
Also in Dodgeball.
He's done
Zoolander.
like Zoolander.
Secret
there's
Life
something
of
about
Walter
Mary.
Mitty. That wasn't a comedy, but it was
Sorry,
a
it's a
decent
museum.
movie.
Yeah, when you think of like comedy actors, I don't really think of Ben Stiller, but Zoolander, Night in the Museum, he's done more comedies than he hasn't, I think. So
Anchorman.
Blades of Glory apparently he was in. I don't remember him in that. Great actor. So it's about a movie where it's based off a book of a guy that fought in the Vietnam War, and they're reacting the book into a movie, and it's just like absolutely insane. Jack Black's in it. Robert Downey Jr. is in it. Tom Cruise. I heard an interview with Tom Cruise, and he was talking to Ben Stiller, and he's like, "I want fat hands."
Yeah.
And Ben was like, "What?" He's like, "I want fat hands." And it ends the movie so perfectly with Ludacris stand up, and Tom Cruise is dancing to Ludacris for like the whole song.
Yeah.
It's absolutely hilarious.
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah. And then the second one is that Danny McBride. People don't talk about Danny McBride's acting in it. So he's the stunts coordinator in the movie.
You see the chubby guy with the curly hair?
Yeah, he's the chubby guy with the curly hair. And he is just absolutely hilarious in it. And he like does this like big explosion when he shouldn't have. He goes on like a monologue for like 5 minutes.
Very sexual about it.
It is very sexual about it. The one that is clean enough for me to say is Mother Nature just pissed her pantsuit. Who wrote this stuff? I don't know.
I feel like that he improv'd a lot of his.
I think so. I really do. That's fair. Kurt Lazarus is the blackface guy. Is the blackface guy? Is that actor? Well, how would I don't even know.
So Robert Downey Jr. plays an actor and that actor does blackface. He'll like take any role and does it seriously. So that actor that he's playing does blackface.
There we go. Thank you so much. And then some of my favorite quotes is he's like I can't even remember where it starts, but he's like, "Man, I don't drop character till I done the DVD commentary." Super hilarious to me. And then the classic one, "I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude." Super funny. "I don't read the script. The script reads me." Just like really just cheesy, super hilarious if it's a black man. It's a white man playing a black man. Give it a watch. I think it's appropriate enough. I've been trying to only.
There's some that has the R word that is used pretty flippantly.
Yes, it does. It does. I do respect that. So just put that out there. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that.
That's I mean, other than that, it is kind of like the raunchy, over the top comedy. It's really the only thing that's I guess changed. That and blackface are the two warnings going into it.
For sure. But yeah, as an 8th grader, I thought this movie was hilarious.
That's another movie my mom wanted to take me to see in theaters. Definitely also wouldn't have made it through that one.
Oh, wow. All right.
I think she just saw the trailers and thought, oh, this would be a fun movie. Take my kid who likes war movies. My number 2, I'm pulling on Lou and kind of cheating here. I think technically it is a miniseries, but I first was introduced to it. They didn't tell me it was a miniseries. They first said, "You want to watch this movie?" And it was on DVD and everything. So in my head, it's a movie, even though it'd be more of a short film because it's only like 45-ish minutes long, and it is 2008's. I'm not gonna say hit because it's kind of also a cult classic. Dr. Horrible's sing-along adventure blog.
I'll give you that one.
With Oh my
has
gosh.
Neil Patrick Harris, Nathan
Harris.
Fillion in there, and Felicia Day. So it's a pretty star-studded cast. It also has the guy from Big Bang Theory with the kind of longer, the bowl cut hair. He's a side character in there.
Oh, nice.
Never watched Big Bang Theory, but I know that he's one of the actors. So this movie was actually written during the 2007-2008 writer's strike, and the reason it was a miniseries was so they could release it online and circumnavigate the issue of what the strike was for. So, like, we still want to make this, but, you know, we got to play by the rules. It is, like, as the title says, a sing-along, so it is a musical note, and Neil Patrick Harris is just super talented. That man can do so much, and it's hilarious. It gets really dark at the end. And it's basically this guy, he's trying to join the evil League of Evil and become a supervillain. That's the premise. And Nathan Fillion is his what is it, a rival, his nemesis, Captain Hammer, corporate tool.
Oh, nice.
If you have 45 minutes, go watch it. I think it was on YouTube last time I checked.
Yeah, I had a roommate in Kalamazoo who was a big Dr. Evil fan, or not Dr. Evil, sorry. What you said.
Dr.
Fan.
Horrible.
Dr.
He's got
Horrible.
a PhD in horribleness. The one thing that was actually really cool is that it's not a big film, and my wife and I, like, early on when we started dating, actually I think it was before we started dating, so, like, somehow we found out that we each liked it, so that was one thing we would do, is we just sing along to the soundtrack in the car and everything, so it was a good bonding experience. And the first time I saw it, as I said, I wasn't expecting it to be 45 minutes ending, so I felt blue-balled at the end. I'm like, that's it? That's all that's happened? Which it actually ties into my number one, so we'll get to there. But I was kind of mad at Robbie and Sarah and all that, because we watched it at camp and for there. But when I went back and rewatched it, it is just hilarious, and I love every minute of it. And we'll watch it every now and again and listen to the soundtrack when working. Mike, bring us home with number one.
Number one was difficult, not because I didn't know what series to put at the number one spot.
Ooh. Can I take a
but
guess at the
because
series?
I have a limit. Oh yeah, well, limit. You're gonna know what it is.
Okay.
But yes, you can take a guess in a second. The trouble was, which film in the series do I pick?
Is there like 10 movies? 10 plus movies?
There are 9 movies bearing the moniker.
Okay.
There are 4 movies that I would consider mainline titles.
I was going to say, if you know what it is, pause the video right now, comment down below, and let us know if you know what Mike's number one, the series, is. If you can guess the movie, go ahead and do it, and you get a +1. Actually, I'm not going to give any top points for that, because you could just listen 5 seconds and then rewrite.
Yeah.
But you'll get some street cred on our Discord if you join. Links in the description.
That series is the American Pie series. And I decided to talk about American Pie, number one, the one that started it all. To be clear, I do not think that the first movie is necessarily the best movie in the series, but I think you're talking about the difference between like a 9.4 and a 9.6, right? Like, I think all of them, all of the main line. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they are easily my favorite comedies. I just finished last night a full rewatch of the series that doubled as Hot Kyle's first watch of the series. They are just absolute masterpieces. And one of the things about the American Pie series is that they're, depending on who you ask, they're either famous or infamous for being just wild, debaucherous, and not really plot-based movies. I think that's totally unfair to these films. Not that that's not true.
Mike, I don't really like plot in my
Now here's the thing.
Let us stand.
First 3 movies, there's Raunch, don't get me wrong, great movies. They then took a pause. Everyone but Eugene Levy left. Eugene Levy only came in as a cameo. Full new cast, direct to DVD. And they got progressively worse, right? You got Bandcamp, which was bad. And you got The Naked Mile, which was bad and basically softcore porn.
Doesn't say
I don't remember, man. I watched them all once and it was just like, oh, these are terrible, but I was determined to watch through the whole series. Beta House legitimately felt like they got to the last 10 minutes and they were like, oh, shoot, we were supposed to tell a story, not just have boobs out. That movie is atrocious. Book of Love attempted to tell a story. They at least tried. It wasn't very good. And then American Reunion is fantastic. And then they made a more recent one, Girls Rule, that tried to do the same premise as the first one, but with girls instead of guys, and it was fine. But I think they kind of lost what made these movies so good, and that is that they're about sex, but the core conceit that these characters keep learning is they are missing out on life by raising sex up to a level of priority in their lives that is too high and that causes them pain, right? And so the 4 main guys are Jim, Oz, Kevin, and Finch. And then there's Stifler, who I recently started theorizing Barney Stinson was derived loosely from, he's just ridiculous. He's over the top. He's all raunchy. He has no character to him. And he was what a lot of people really took to in these movies. He's what a lot of people remember from them. I think that a lot of movies took the premise and ran with it, and all they saw was, oh, these movies are raunchy and they're doing well. And so you had this whole string of people trying to imitate these movies, but they learned the wrong lesson. And so these 4 guys all decide, they make a pact. They're all going to lose their virginity on prom night or by prom night. And they each have a target, and inevitably by the 75% mark of the movie, everything is falling apart. Jim has been humiliated on a national level. Oz has pretended to be this like really touchy-feely emotional guy, and basically he gets busted pretending to be what he's not. And this girl that he's actually started to care about takes off. Kevin's trying to sleep with his girlfriend, but he totally screws the whole thing up. And Finch just pays somebody to spread rumors about his sexual prowess, and so the girls are all just flooding to him. But then somebody hits him with a laxative, and he is embarrassed so hard that none of the girls want anything to do with him. And so they all come to this realization that they've been missing out on their senior year because they've just been trying so hard to get laid, and that's not actually what's going to make them happy. It is the quintessential. The character has a want, but the character also has a need, and you have to get past and realize that your want is not going to fulfill your need, and then have character growth to pursue your need. And it was great. Kevin realizes that he's been scared to tell his girlfriend, I love you, and she would have slept with him if he said that, but he didn't want to say that. And there was they genuinely cared about each other, and the same reason she was scared to sleep with him was the same reason he was scared to say I love you. And they had this beautiful moment of just talking through their feelings, and they don't even end up being together at the end of the movie. They break up. Oz realizes that this sensitive guy he was pretending to be is kind of who he really is, and he likes doing things like choir and listening and caring as opposed to just being a dumb jock. Jim realizes I'm going to be with this girl who likes me, not just chase the hottest girl in the school. And then Finch has sex with Stifler's mom. So that part is just pure raunch, but it's so funny. And
isn't that where the term MILF was derived from?
I don't know if it was derived from, but oh my gosh. Either Harold or Kumar. I never saw the movies, so I don't know which one was which. Not because I can't distinguish them. That's because I don't know who played who.
Yeah, that was impressive as hell.
Have you been accused of that before? You seem like there was some history there.
I just know how the internet works, man. Now, to be clear, they both were in How I Met Your Mother. One of them played Robin's therapist. The other played the guy who got Marshall the job being the head lawyer for something Funland. That guy, whichever one he is, him and this other guy are just super into older women, and they'll just sit there chanting MILF. And these are all these things that on the surface they don't really sound that funny. They're not that funny, but they're executed so well. And again, it's just this brilliant coming of age story where even though the movie is raunchy, admittedly, the core conceit of the movie is that sex has been made to be too big of a deal in our culture than it needs to be. Which is just, I love irony, and it's a beautiful irony, especially because even the later direct-to-DVD sequels didn't learn that lesson and just became progressively raunchier and raunchier and did worse and worse. So yeah, the first one's fantastic, and then the second one's great. The third one is probably my favorite, and the fourth one is just a really good finale. But one of my favorite things about the American Pie movies, because I rewatched them with Kyle, I watched them for the first time with my wife, and so each one has a scene that stands out, both for being raunchier than any other scene in the movie, but also being funnier than any other scene in the movie. And in all 4 of them, when you're watching it with a buddy and there be titties there, it has the very, very distinct possibility that's going to get super uncomfortable because it's I don't, this is just weird, do I skip through it? What do I do? These scenes are so well crafted that the nudity literally falls back. It stops being something you care about because it is so funny and so over the top and so ridiculous. It's just there. It's not even something you think about. And within 30 seconds, it goes from, this is uncomfortable, this is a little weird, to like, I don't even care. I'm watching this movie with a buddy, and it's not even weird. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend them to anyone who's finds himself in a position where they need to be extra careful what they intake visually. And if you are not 18, don't watch them. I am not recommending that to you. But if you are of age and that's not going to mess with your moral compass in any way, give them a shot, man. They are absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know. I only watched them once as in middle school, and it was for the wrong reason, so I can't speak to where they are now. But yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable watching them now, but that could just be a me thing.
I also agree with Robert, but A for effort, I think.
Yeah, great. Yeah, like I enjoyed it. I think it was great that it wasn't like, nudity is funny.
Right.
Yeah, well, and that's
just
the thing,
not my thing.
Like, yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is like the nudity isn't the part that's the joke. That's the thing, is it's like there are these scenes that are like constantly like on a base level. You'd be like, oh yeah, these are the scenes where there's like a topless girl, but that's not what the joke is. The joke is so funny and so unrelated that you're just like, within seconds you're like, oh, I don't even notice that this is happening because the joke is so well constructed that it doesn't even matter. And I think that those scenes then get remembered for the wrong reasons.
Let me tell you, it made me look at apple pie differently.
Yeah, I never liked apple pie to begin with.
Not really, but All right, Lou, why don't you take us to your number one?
So, my number one, I had to figure it out. So, sorry, it's getting late, guys. Just one more, baby. One more. Are you going to quit now? In 10-yard line? No, you're not. That.
5 yards.
Yes.
Open your eyes. You're in the end zone.
We have referenced that movie more than anyone else in the past freaking like 15 years on this pod. Just that one scene, too.
I mean, that's all I know. It's nothing I
was
can
going to say,
remember.
that's the only scene in the movie, isn't it?
All right, so when I had to boil down to my number one, I thought of what's something that I've watched. I watch this movie once a year, or at least try to watch this once a year. It's a movie that when I was in 9th grade, I had a first best friend, and his name was Shoaib. And I never experienced friendship like that before in my life. I finally had like a bro. It was somebody who I knew like had my back. Like if I got into a fight, I knew he would help. And so I think this movie really brings me back to that time where I just really desired just a brother. And so the movie is called I Love You, Man, and it came out in 2009.
Dude, so good.
Nice. Yes, it is a beautiful movie. So it's a very simple. If I had to explain it to anybody, it's a rom-com, but it's just with two dudes.
Yep.
And Zoe, different, kind of the same, but a little different. I've never seen that movie.
Is that Jason Segel?
Mm-hmm.
It is Jason Segel.
Paul Rudd?
And Paul Rudd.
Oh my god, that's
Rudd.
and freaking Sheeta Jones, yeah.
Yep. It is a stat cast. It is absolutely
John
hilarious.
Favreau?
I watch it once a year. Yeah,
What's
so
going on?
very simple. The main character has a hard time connecting with men. He has a hard time connecting with friends. He doesn't have any friends. And his best friend is his fiance, Rashida Jones. Zoe Rice, that's her name in the movie. And as they're getting married, they're trying to figure out who's going to stand in his wedding. And the main character's like, ooh, I don't really have anybody. He's just like, I don't really know. And so she's like worried for him to like go get a friend. And I can't remember how those two met up. I think maybe an open house. Yes, open house. And so Paul Rudd, the main character, is selling the Hulk Luke Ferrigno's house. And so his best friend, Jason Segel, the character, is an absolute loose cannon. He like doesn't care about anything. He's super freeing compared to the main character, and that really opens up Paul Rudd. And how they connect is through this band called Journey, and it's just
like
them.
Journey,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Overrated, as we talked about.
I agree. I wonder if they were just trying to find a band that would allow them to play their music and be on the movie, and Journey just accepted, and so they were just Journey fans. But
maybe one of the writers was a Journey fan.
Oh, maybe that's fair too. Yeah, and so they go to a Journey concert, but they bring his fiance, and this is my favorite scene. And they go absolutely like insane for each other. It's just them two, and the girl is completely like ignored. And it gets to the point where they're licking each other's bases.
What?
Like a guitar, not anything. Don't worry. I love this movie because it just reminds me of friendship. And I didn't grow up with brothers or sisters for a long time. Shout out to my sister. I didn't forget about her. I didn't grow up with any brothers. and I just desired friendship. And this movie just reminds me of that. It's just a great movie.
I only watched it once, but it was definitely one I considered putting on the list.
My number one, you guys already know, because we talked about it before the pod. It got brought up, but it is the 1975 comedy gold standard, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Overrated, I will say.
Yeah.
No. I think we're talking about overrated.
I don't think that movie is held up at all.
See, actually, I think it's an absurd and witty comedy. It is British humor, so it's very different than, the raunchiness. There's still a little bit with Castle Anthrax, but, for the most part, that's not the main gag.
I love British humor, too.
So like I said, I was actually let down by this film at first because it ends so abruptly. And then I found out it was because it was due to monetary restraints, so they just ran out of money. So they're like, well, we have to tie it up some way. And that, I think, has made it funnier to me that they're just like, well, we'll just throw this in there. I actually think it ages really well. My wife and I watched it a few months ago. She even seemed to enjoy it. Even if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you would recognize some of the lines in there. It's a very quotable, very big in the pop culture zeitgeist. Would recommend. Now, I'm
not trying to say it has no redeeming qualities. The Black Knight scene, iconic. The Knights Who Say Knee, hysterical.
Also, the rabbit scene, also iconic. No, you guys aren't a fan of the rabbit scene? All right.
Oh,
that ain't no ordinary rabbit. Look at
yeah,
the
it was
bones.
a little much for me.
A little gruesome, I get it. Not everyone's into the gore humor like I am. Because I threatened to put Saw on here.
Yeah, the Christian community really loved this movie.
Yeah,
I know so many Christians who love it.
The Life of Brian wasn't quite as popular for some reason.
Yeah, it was not well received.
No, not in the Christian community. I'm interested to hear why you guys say it's overrated.
I don't know, man. I rewatched it a little ways back, and I didn't think it was very funny. I just was not amused.
Okay.
I've only seen certain scenes, and I thought they were the funniest scenes, and I didn't find them very funny. I also don't like British humor. I mean, to be honest with you. So
that would seriously impede your ability to enjoy Monty Python.
There you go.
Now, I will say, in middle school, I thought it was the funniest movie of all time. I had a Dark Knight shirt, and I wore it whenever I was going.
Was that you?
There were people.
I remember there's some kid at camp that had and he had all of his limbs chopped off.
Yeah, that's the one. I was rocking that shirt.
Son of a gun.
All the time.
Wow, you guys are just always around, but when did you guys become actual friends?
Integrate college.
Yeah.
That's insane. You guys were around for so long around each other.
Right.
Yeah. I think, Lou, we were friends before Mike and I were friends. Yeah, because I invited you to integrate.
That's insane. That's insane. You guys were around each other for so long, and I just think it's funny because it's me in the background just hating on Michael. This guy is just too cool. He needs to die.
Now we have a podcast. What do you think you would have said back in the day if you're one day you're going to have a podcast with him?
I'd be like, no, that guy. I'd be like, no.
I'm not going to be with that tool.
Tool? I'm not going to be friends with him.
His luscious hair, his guitar skills.
I can climb any tree. I'm so cool, asshole.
There were trees I couldn't climb.
Is it women? Are you making a women joke?
No, I'm
making
a
just
very
tall
literal
tree with no little hanging limbs joke.
Where were we? Yeah. So go watch it. If you don't like British humor, then yeah, it's not going to be for you. All right, Lou. What are we talking about next week?
Top 5 things on your bucket list.
Ooh, I was thinking about this one.
Damn, I'm just stealing all your Robert. I must be in your home.
This one is actually, a straight 1-for-1, unlike the other ones. That's okay.
My bees, cuz.
All right, well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Top Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know which comedy movies that we had that you liked, and let us know what your favorite comedy movie is. And is Monty Python overrated? If you're watching on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star review and leave a comment and read off on the pod. Other than that, once again, we hope that you join the Discord and we kind of get to meet you guys. Like I said, at Papa Lou in anime. We're trying. Maybe one day he'll figure it out. So you can help teach Lou how to use Discord. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week and we'll catch you in the next one.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Does anybody want a peanut?
I chopped your arm off.
Just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound.
I'll bite your legs, you scallywag.